It's writing the message. Does anyone know what the hardest part about delivering the message for Sunday is?
Probably delivering the message.
Delivering the message. So I feel like I'm pretty good at talking to people one-on-one about God and giving them encouragement, teaching them about the things that I do understand. Especially when questions are asked and these people reciprocate their own personal thoughts back to me. Sometimes that even answers some of my own personal questions. It answers my questions about God. And this probably stems back to my childhood when we would go to church on Sunday, and then on the way back home, I would ask Mom and Dad questions about the things that were talked about in church. Some of their questions probably got answered at that time too. Most of the time, my answer to these people is pretty short, to the point, but they are fairly thought out, and each word has real meaning. Typically, there isn't a lot of fluff in my words, so it's truly amazing that I'm even still standing up here at all. Everything I've said so far has just been a bunch of fluff. Which doesn't even lead me to my point. But on the other hand, unlike talking to an individual one-on-one, delivering the Sunday message isn't something that I'm very confident in doing. How Tom or any other pastor can do this week after week, I may never know. Or maybe I will. The process for me starts well before Sunday. The first thing is to pick a topic, which isn't easy, because once you decide on one and you start to research it, 1 becomes 2, and 2 become 4, and so on. And I say research because it's more than just studying the Bible. For me, it's Google, YouTube, which you have to be careful with. It's consultation with Pastor Tom, which you have to be careful with. Told you I had one in there on me. And other fellow Christians, and most importantly, prayer. Once the topic is settled, there is the content of the message, or saying a bunch of things that will ultimately lead up to the point of the message. Fluff. As I said before, I'm usually a to-the-point kind of guy. So for me to talk for 10 or 15 minutes while keeping your attention is truly a miracle of God. I do have your attention, right?
We're listening. We're listening.
And then there's all the issues that come with the delivery of the message. So when I was in high school, and that time is fleeting more and more every day, I was in drama club. So you would think that standing on stage, talking in front of people would just come natural. Well, it doesn't. But you see, the problem with that is that when we're in drama club, we had months of preparation with the director right there with us to give us advice and encourage us. Then as we were on stage, if a line was forgotten, there would be someone else in the cast or the director just off stage from us to be able to whisper the line to us so that it would jog our memory and we'd be able to say the line and move on. I guess at least up here I have the script right in front of me. Although when it's someone else's script, you at least know that it makes sense to one other person. I can only hope that in my script it makes sense to you. Time. Who has an abundance of time? When I was in drama club, work wasn't a really big priority, and I didn't have mouths to feed or problems to solve. In fact, drama club and other after-school activities actually got me out of work. Don't tell Dad.
You just did.
Technically, Tom did ask me to do this about a month or so ago, but hey, Tom's retired. He's got all kinds of time.
Oh, yeah.
No, seriously, I wanted to express my gratitude to all the people who do this week after week. Something I should point out is that as you're writing the message, God has a way of pointing out to you your own flaws, and you begin to understand that truly you're not the one writing the script, but it's also for you yourself to hear. In Titus 2, 7 and 8, it says, "In everything, set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about us." It was at this point in my writing that I myself fell to my knees crying and begging God for his mercy and forgiveness for all the wrongdoings in my life. I challenge all of you at some point in your life to write a sermon. Even if you never share it with anyone, write it for yourself. And if you do want to share it, well, step right up. Whether you do this or not, I believe that God has in all of us a calling. There are many different jobs he has for us, all equally important. We just have to choose to listen to it. Jesus too had a calling. Many of them actually, and he fulfilled them every day. As we too were called to be like Jesus, so should we fulfill our calling every day. Romans 8, 28 through 30, it says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." Now, Jesus fulfilled his callings every day, but he had one important calling that really stands out. He was here to save us from ourselves and eternal damnation. In the reading of the word today, Jesus said, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," or, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Not because Jesus doubted God's plan, but to show us that the prophecy that took place in Psalm 22 was being fulfilled, and that Jesus truly was taking on all of our sins alone. Anyway, this has really just been a bunch of fluff, so let me just get to the point. God has a calling for you. Listen to it. If you'll turn to page 435.